It's been over 20 years. I'm still talking about my story. I'm going to talk about my story for the next 20 years. It's who I am. There's a thread that runs through me. I have felt otherwise about the fact that I'm Nozibele. Surely, exactly like you say, surely there's got to be another layer to you. And absolutely, there are many layers to me, but that is the foundation of all layers. So it's who I am. And by the way, I've made some money from this story. So excuse me, unless you are tired of hearing it, close your ears.
Don't hold back. Say it loud. What's up, everybody? Yep, you heard right. We are back. Season 3 of Don't Hold Back. This is a podcast in collaboration between DW, Jacaranda FM, and East Coast Radio. My name is Nozibele Sibaca-Nomnganga. I will be your host. This is where we say it loud. I am so excited to welcome today's guest. Oh, guys, she's one of my faves. I'm not sure if she actually knows this, okay? I am so happy to be covering her inspirational journey from heartbreak of a miscarriage to the beauty of IVF. She is a global speaker, a wife, a mom to twins. She is the NGO queen. Please help me welcome Sibulele Sibaca-Nomnganga. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited
so am I.
for you
So
to
am
be
I.
here.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You are one of the real ones. One of the things that I remember about you, Nazi, awuzuyeka a full-time employment for passion.
Senza ntoni ngoku? Funeke skile ngoku kaloku babes. Uthini ngoku le?
Nazi, there's a way we're going to do this. Ne? Nzawuhamba nawe.
Uthini?
I'm going to walk with you on
No.
this journey. I love her for being real.
Yeah.
But before we get into our discussion, we have a tradition, on the show where we bring a snack.
Right.
Ne? So
I do have my snack.
You do have yours. Perfect.
So I didn't know which one to go with, but now the more that we're talking, I'm just like, actually, maybe this is the one I should go with.
Okay. Oreos.
Sana. This heals my inner child.
Okay.
Like in a way you will not believe.
Don't tell me now.
Okay.
I know now there's a story behind it. I'm going to ask her about the story behind it like much later on. It's okay. Okay? Sibo?
Yes.
Your story is so multi-layered that sometimes when I was writing notes, I did not know where to begin.
Okay.
But let's start from the foundations.
Okay.
I've watched some of your interviews, and one of the things that you said is you lost your parents when you were 16.
Yes.
How do you believe the loss of your parents in such a way that I'm sure you'll touch on shaped the person and the woman that you are now?
Thanks for that, Nozi. You are spot on. The loss of a parent is really, really tough. Then the loss of a parent at the time at which I lost both my parents, at the height of the HIV pandemic in South Africa, was even harder because you're first dealing with the fact that this person or these people are no longer here. Then you're also dealing with the fact that they're no longer here because of HIV.
Because of the circumstances.
And at the time, Galoku, you remember, it was highly stigmatized, HIV. It really used to be a death sentence, whereas we live in a much different world today, you know. And there I was as a young girl losing mom, but I was so fortunate and so blessed that my dad was still around. He was really active, and I think he was very intentional in how he raised my brother and I from the moment my mom passed away up until he passed away. I felt, now looking back, I've got moments where I'm like, right there, I think he was doing something there, how I wish, of course, it was a different time where my dad was still alive and that he could be on ARVs today. But I also wish that he had done stuff like memory boxes, I wish he had been honest and open about what he was going through. I wish I would have trusted my youthful heart to be able to handle what he was going through. I feel that he would have empowered me a little better, whereas he then died. I was dealing with the death of a dad. I was dealing with the death of a dad from AIDS. Then I was dealing with having to navigate my life as though he still were around. And I feel like had he just empowered me enough, I would have dealt with certain things and certain people a lot easier than what my brother and I had to. So yes, we lost both our parents at a very young age, and it has 100% shaped the woman that I am today. I do what I do today so passionately, and my why is always so clear because it is a part of my story. So yeah.
As a 16-year-old, Sibo, Abazali passed away of AIDS. I believe at that age, you are also still coming to yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, understand? You are still a little bit fuzzy about like, who am I? And then on top of that, having to deal with the stigma of parents being, living with AIDS or dying of AIDS.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure, right? In the heart of Ikapa.
Yes, Kwalanga.
Some of the things that I'm sure are probably said about you.
So listen, it was, you're absolutely spot on. There was a look that people had when people were dying.
Yeah.
So obviously nothing much has changed. I'm still very skinny. I was even skinnier back then. So a lot of people assumed that I was HIV positive. And I was very intentional, even from 16 years old, to not correct that. I was clear. And the older I got, the more I was like, if you think I'm HIV positive, it's okay. It's okay, And so I was very intentional about helping people see that that's not how you should be judging me. But when I was 16 years old, it wasn't always so clear, as you so rightly say. I was determined to not allow my circumstances to shape the steps I needed to take as a young person. Then I wore glasses. Sana. I wore glasses, it double thick.
No.
Mamela.
The double glass?
Mamela, I've been wearing glasses since I was 7. Ne? Mamela, with my very first job, a Love Life, I earned 800 Rand. When I discovered contact lenses, I was like...
You said that was it.
And I've been using them now for over 20 years. But yes, as coming of age, you're 16-year-old, you're dealing with a lot, your personality, your confidence. Also, I think what also added a lot more confusion to this situation was that if family dynamics, if family will come at you in ways that you will never expect.
Look, the other day, I'm listening to a sermon by Joyce Meyer.
Okay, yes.
Funny enough, totally unrelated. I never used to listen to Joyce Meyer. And then at my age. Once you come to off age, you come with my child now. Anyway, so I'm now obsessed with Joyce Meyer. But what triggered me, the other day is that every other sermon that I watch of her, she always references how she was abused, sexually abused by her dad. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting because I'm like, hey, so many years later, she still references that story. Ne? Where I'm going is, how did you transition, Okanye, where did it click for you that your story is not going to be of stigma? Yeah. It's not going to be of grief. It's not going to be of where you come from. Where was the turning point by, hey, I'm not going to be defined by this thing. The fact that your story is now going to be of purpose. Yeah. Where was that for you? The reason why I'm asking also is because I think it triggered my own journey. Okay. That as someone who's living positively with HIV, and I've used my story in such a purposeful way, is there a point where I don't talk about it anymore? Okay. Is there a point where it's enough? Where was that for you?
Okay. So let me start with your second part of the question. Yes. It's been over 20 years. I'm still talking about my story. I'm going to talk about my story for the next 20 years. It's who I am. It is a thread that runs through me. I have felt otherwise about the fact that I'm Nsibu. Surely, exactly like you say, surely there's got to be another layer to you. And absolutely, there are many layers to me, but that is the foundation of all layers. So I no longer feel bad about saying the same story for the past 20 years. It's who I am. And by the way, I've made some money from this story. So excuse me, unless you are tired of hearing it, close your ears. It has structured and shaped an entire career. Now, going back to what you're asking me initially about where was the turning point. Once again, Betuna, they turned mali. And the turning point was a little financially motivated.
Okay.
Because I finished matric and my brother says to me, this is where it ends. I need you to go get a job so that you and I can help each other put food on the table.
Yeah.
I started looking for a job, and the only job that came up at the time was a job at Love Life.
Yeah.
Here's the trick. Love Life ufuna ndithethe nge-HIV prevention.
Okay.
Huh? In the same community that was stigmatizing me, thinking I'm HIV positive, I've lost my parents to HIV, to AIDS. The irony of it all. But ndayenza because ngizawurhola 800 rand per month. That was the... I need 800 rand. Oh, no problem. I need to help my brother. I've got things I want to achieve. 800 rand, I'm going to do it. Oh, but when you think you are driven by one thing, and then you get the shock of your life when your purpose slaps you on your face. Hey, I thought... Dandithatheli 800 rand. But I was taking it for a lifetime.
You didn't know it was unlocking.
Sana, I didn't know I was unlocking something else. Because when I took on that job to be a groundbreaker, helping young people prevent themselves from contracting HIV, I didn't know I was unlocking a lifetime of the life that I have built till today. Yeah.
In my intro, I spoken that you're a wife.
Yes.
You are a mommy.
Yes.
To twins.
Yes.
Now I want to talk about that.
Yes.
Ne?
Let's.
You are a wife.
And crazy man.
Listen, every time I see your husband, and actually there was a point where I think I messaged you, I was like, hey,
Mamela,
there's no at any point
where they must meet.
Our husbands need to meet.
I know, I remember.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just you and me. They must not meet.
No, it will be a disaster. No, literally the same person. Okay.
I remember.
So you're a wife and you're married.
Yes.
There's expectations.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Expectations, cultural expectations, like just as a society, also has expectations. But now, they're going to start, having children.
Yeah.
When did you realize that your journey to motherhood is not going to take the linear path or the conventional way, similar to how other women may have children?
Right.
When did it click for you? But hey, sana ingati is about different.
Yeah. So this is my second marriage. Was married initially for 5 years.
Yes.
And so when my husband and I got a divorce, and it wasn't because of no children.
Yeah.
Fortunately, God, funny God, I've had the most amazing mother-in-laws. Amazing. Ingati my mom spoke to them through the grave and said, "Umntana manlona." So even my first marriage, my mom-in-law was absolutely phenomenal, and not once did I ever feel the pressure. However, after divorce, after 5 years being married, of course, I was married for 5 years. And there was not a single child. But at the time, I'm single, right? So I'm not too worried about it. But of course, you hear about eggs, the age and all of that. But I'm just like, look, I'm not going to make babies by myself. That's not what I choose to do. Well, it's an option for others, but not for me. I even though I had it for 9 and 16 years, I was raised by a mom and a dad in the home, and that's what I want for myself.
Yes.
So that's my benchmark. And so that's what I'd love. So I just thought, okay, I'll wait this out. I did say to myself, though, funny enough, when I get to the age of 40 and it's not happening the way that I would have loved it to happen, I'm going to explore other ways.
Yeah.
There I was then meeting my husband now, right? And my husband already had 3 kids.
Yeah.
So we had already started trying quite early on, actually, just after we got married, because I knew that in my mind, I didn't have a lot of time. And so we had 3 rounds in total. So
before you even go to the rounds, Sibo, I would love to just briefly the conversation that you have with your husband around IVF. I don't want to assume. I don't want to go through the on him assume because and I haven't met him.
Yeah.
The only assumption that I would have about
is that
I mean, they are quite closed off. I mean, into certain things.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
the liberty they have over certain things.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah.
What's the discussion? Always open. Hi, babes. Let's go.
No.
Let's do IVF.
No. So I come in with this very worldly view of let's explore this option of having a child.
Yes.
And initially he was like, "Utatutin." No. Also, my husband is a pastor. And so he's of the firm belief that Abraham ngusara.
Yo.
Ne? uThixo uzasipha umntana.
Okay.
And by the way, Sibu, is my love for you not enough. And my husband didn't understand that while I appreciated his love for me, there's a portion of my heart reserved for umntana, man, you know, and that's what I wanted for myself. You know, and he just couldn't understand that. So for the longest time, and I'm not going to lie, it wasn't too long. It didn't require a lot of convincing because he could see that, wow, we then went through our first round of IVF and in Zakpendula, how at every step, the conversation still comes. You know, you've got to convince, you've got to continue to push the needle and have difficult conversations. So for example, and I speak about this openly because he's spoken about it openly as well, is that first of all, since round way to number one, they extract eggs, extract the sperm. Yes, get extraction of sperm.
Hello.
Another conversation altogether.
Hello.
My husband is forever traumatized by that.
Oh,
Mamela. We put in an embryo, unsuccessful. It doesn't work out. We go back to the drawing board. Young little is money, yeah?
Hello.
All of it is money that you when you go to save, you don't save for IVF. You don't say I'm saving for IVF. It's not a thing.
Expensive.
Very expensive. So now here I am saying to him, okay, can we do round 2, right? So we go for round 2 again. I go round 2 sperm. I get sperm. Kofuneka stop the entire process. Kuba sperm. Asphumi.
Asphumi? Yo.
Asize sperm.
Traumatized.
Yaphela sithi kwe kwakushot bangokusiya kwi-5-star hotel just for kubekho izinto zizawumuva mhlawumbe zishake xa nathi nokuya kwi-luxury. Mamela zange. So about 3-4 days later, amaqanda amamila yanjonja linde ukufertilize. Eventually, we got the sperm. Right? Yes. Sends round 2. Round 2 sends 3 embryos. Safaka 3.
Okay.
None of them took. My husband was like, Mamela Changa, Mamela, I'm done. He was done. We waited 2 years. And he was like, I'm not doing this. Until 2023, he says to me, how about we try again?
Oh.
I was really happy about this because I had really started giving up on the idea. And adoption is not an option at all. And so he was like, no, that's not what he's going to do. So we are going to just be.
Yeah.
And so Nyanike in 2023, he says to me, Sibu, I really need you to let's
try again.
You know, let's try again. Then this conversation was happening around February. Then I was quite intentional. There were certain things I didn't do for round 1 and round 2 that now I thought diet, lifestyle, don't yonke lanto, making sure that let's prep these bodies.
Yeah.
So I was really intentional about that. I did a lot of research. I had a dietitian, don't yonke lanto. Then in August, in July, end of July, I think I was turning 40 that year. I turned 40 in July. And just after that, went through the process. Sperm.
Okay.
Like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Did not all of a sudden disappear. But when you go to God, man, with the things that you deeply desire, he went onto the internet to research, but how else do you get sperms out when you need them? Quite urgently. There's a process, there's a procedure. They go directly to the source. They pull out the sperms. In fact, they prefer it because these sperms as dinwanga, as klapanga from just that
traveling all the way.
You know, they are good. Chonga, we finally got the sperms. We went with the 3rd round. The doctor, because of my age and because of previously failed rounds of IVF, so now they no longer put in 2 or more than 1.
Okay.
But because of my age and because of previously failed,
Yes.
put in 2 for as a measure of at least 1.
Yeah.
They put in 2.
Both of them. She now has twins.
Sibulele
Twin boys.
Nomnganga. Twin boys.
We're going to talk about them very shortly after this. Okay. Before we continue, I want to do a fun game. We call it the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Don't think about it. Quick to your feet. Ne? You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay. First question. If your twins had superpower, what would they be?
For them to read each other's minds and for them to be able to go into the future.
Okay. What's your go-to karaoke song?
You will always be my baby and we'll ring around.
And she even sings it. Okay. Big stage keynote or one-on-one mentoring?
One-on-one mentoring.
I knew it. Okay. What's your no sharing snack that you hide from the boys?
Strawberries.
Okay.
And they love them. That's the thing.
Last question. What's your non-negotiable joy in your life?
Oh, it's my boys.
I can imagine.
Especially now because they're 15 months and just seeing them come to their personalities.
I know.
They're walking everywhere. Oh, my word. I could
know.
spend the entire day with them.
Talking about boys, there's one thing that I once took from an interview that you did. You said motherhood doesn't define me.
Yeah.
It refines me.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it so much because I remember there was a period, something happened where, we're in the social media space and, people feel like they know us and they have opinions, right? And then there was a narrative where you're like, no, so when you should protect Ulumi because you don't want his story to be branded as coming from a mom who's living with HIV and who's HIV positive. And the one thing that I said was, I was nosy before I was Lumi's mom.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a story before
100%.
I was Lumi's mom.
100%.
And being a mom will not change that. I will still be present and my priority will still be protecting him.
Yes.
It will not alter who I am.
100%.
So I think what you said there, motherhood doesn't define me, it refines me.
Yes.
Please, in your own words, where did that come from?
So I think a lot of people, especially because I wanted it so badly,
Okay.
I went to great expensive lengths to be a mother, that all of a sudden people assume that you forget who you are. Oh my goodness, I've been myself for 40 years before I had abantwana. And so that's who I am fundamentally.
Yeah.
But of course, you've got these 2 people who look up at you and they think you are their world.
Yeah.
And so to some extent, it sharpens some edges. Some rough edges. It really highlights and accentuates the good parts about yourself. It teaches you so many things. I've been an impatient Sibu for 40 years. All of a sudden now, I'm counting to 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Panene, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. 1, 2, 3, 10. Okay, so it doesn't stop me from who I am, but certainly there are things about me that motherhood has come into to sharpen, man. And I'm open for that. But certainly people know I do not accept anyone. I will block you.
Yep.
And I will delete you. I do not accept anybody coming onto my social media that I choose to share about my family and come at me about how they do things.
Yeah.
When I ask, and I ask my community on there a lot.
Yeah.
Because I look up to the moms on there.
Absolutely.
But what I will not have is somebody come at me and tell me how they would do things.
Yeah.
Mafazi, you were once a mother for the first time now. So
please, Betron.
Please. And I think there's a way in which you do it as well. I welcome a lot of people advising on various things. It's the way, there's a tone.
Yeah,
man.
I loved the way you said motherhood has taught you so much about yourself. When you started talking about being an impatient. For me, it's the fact that I've had to mna ndiyayithanda order.
Okay, all right. Oh, P
like A, B, C. Yeah, but it mustn't be B, A, C.
Okay.
Now I've had to, I think the way to best capture motherhood for me, I've had to let go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yenza lento ufuna uyenza mntanami.
Yeah.
You want to walk at 15 months and not at 1. Okay.
Oh,
let's do it like that.
I'm here for you.
Do you want to do that and not do this?
Yeah.
Now, I have a time frame.
Yeah,
so when you don't want to come to the party,
no,
it's fine. Let's do it your way.
Yeah. I think what I found interesting for me is that having two grow up at the same time has also taught me how not to compare.
They're twins, but they're two different people.
And Mamela, they are so my therapist said, Sibo, Mamela, by the way, they're twins to each other, not to you. So la relationship, you're twins. I saw twins. Are twins? Z twins to each other. To you, there are two individual children of yours, just happen to be born at the same time. Now you must treat them separately. She has taught me so much about how I see them differently. For example, I've been so intentional about seeing them differently. Omnia started walking first, and I'm just like, Isana, kapakat, ndoni.
So I want to But Sibu, honestly, I don't think you just realized, like a penny just dropped for me when you said they twins to each other.
Not to me.
Because I think it also encapsulates like the relationship as a parent that you have with your children.
Yes, with all of your children.
With all of your children.
Yes. 100%.
Oh my goodness. Like you don't understand, like the hairs here just stood up for me.
Yeah,
that just stood up for me. Okay, we're about to close. Okay. There's one or two questions I'm going to ask afterwards. But before that, let's talk about the Oreo story. What's the Oreo story? What happened?
The Oreo story, I realized what it did for me when I twist it, lick it, dunk it. It did something for me. And I remember my gynae allowing me one snack a week.
Okay.
Which contained sugar.
Yes.
When I was already in hospital about to give birth, because we were monitoring things really closely because it was a really tough pregnancy. They came at 30 weeks. It was just a mess. And so he said I was allowed one snack. Oh my word, I knew exactly what that would be, to close the gap and to kind of just really remind me of who I am. And it was this, and I had my husband get from the ladies' Sibulele a glass of milk, and oh my word. I could have gone on for another 2 months carrying those boys because it did everything for me. And I realized that this snack has been a clutch for me when I really want to feel. Also, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm having this, I don't care. I don't always have a milk to dunk, but and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Okay, we're going to share it now.
Honey, we're about to get our teeth dirty. What?
We have to share it. Thank you. We don't have milk, but still okay.
No, we don't have milk.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, my word. And the fact that every time someone comes with like a snack, usually something sweet.
You have to eat it.
I have to eat it. And then I always have it's going to be just one bite because I'm on a diet. One bite. I'm on a diet. No, that was really good. Okay. Allow us to finish first. Oh, that was good. I needed that. Okay.
Right? Just the right amount of sugar.
Let me tell you. I'm going to ask one more like my last question, but before I do that, I feel like I need to tell you, and I can't tell you privately. It has to be in this platform.
Okay.
When you shared your birth video, I don't know how many times. If you go to that, I think I commented like 5 times because I kept on going back. Like I've never seen anything so beautiful.
Wow.
Because I think it was just me understanding how God's promises coming to fulfill. Like it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Seeing your husband's face.
Yeah.
It just like, I think seeing your husband's face just took me out.
Like,
and I was like, okay, I'm just
that's
gonna
it. I'm done.
Okay, I'm done. I was so happy for you. And
thank you.
listen, once again, this is the first time, by the way, we meeting.
First time we are meeting, huh?
I was so happy. So I literally needed to slide that in. Your birth video, please check it out on Instagram. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay, last question.
Yes.
We talked about motherhood. We talked about your own journey. For women that feel their own battles, what they're going through are too messy. It's too all over the place to even consider sharing. What do you have to say to a woman that is going through that their story does not necessarily matter? What do you have to say, having gone through your own journey?
So first of all, it's so important to own your story. I know it's messy. And it's Dorizé to Nozi also, what makes them messier is the fact that somebody else is involved. If it's Dorizé, it was just us, it'll be great because then you could tell your story comfortably. But I can't speak about my divorce without speaking about my ex-husband. It's difficult, right? I also can't speak about how I grew up without speaking about the dignity of my parents. So what makes our stories messier is not so much our decisions and choices, it's also the fact that there are people around us. And so when we think of telling that story, you have to be okay with the other characters in the story, right? And that's, I think, the most difficult part that stops a lot of us from sharing. But I often say to women that you could do the courtesy of informing these other main characters, these other characters, but aizuchika, this is your story, right? I informed my ex-husband, for example, that this is, I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
I informed my brother. He wasn't agreeing at the time. I informed my family members. They weren't happy at the time. But I informed them, respected them, had a conversation with myself about my parents and thought, you know what, the two of you, you lived your life, it's not time to live mine, right? So own your story, no matter how messy. Respect the other characters.
Okay.
Inform them, right, that this is what you're going to do. And by the way, to own your story and start telling it is not always on a public platform.
Yes. Thank you.
So we're not talking come on social media, all of that, and now be a speaker. No. It's also being comfortable with telling someone close to you. So it's about also just owning your story and being able to tell it in those spaces. I really want to encourage women to know that sometimes by keeping quiet, or rather, on the flip side, by telling your story, you are really encouraging another woman to step into their purpose. And I'm not saying now let's all run around and start telling our stories, but also the beauty about telling your story is that you then realize when other women tell their stories about Chini,
I'm not alone.
Sana, I'm not alone. And in fact, other people have it a little bit harder. You know, if we could really sit and compare notes, babes, you'd realize, so that's the other beauty about telling our stories is that it really helps us to put things into perspective, you know, and go, Chini, while that might be a struggle for you, you know, so I'd really encourage women to tell their stories whenever they can, and it doesn't always have to be on a public platform.
And, I think the one important thing for me when I started telling my story was that, man, the more I kept quiet, the more I felt I was held at ransom.
Ooh.
I felt like...
100%.
The more you're keeping quiet, the more I know what happened. I was like, I'm not going to be held ransom by the story or by anyone else. I'm not going to be held ransom
by the characters.
Yes.
I'm
not going to be held ransom by anyone, by the story.
It's
mine to tell. 100%. And knowing me, I'll tell it with the best dignity, with the best respect.
Yes.
Because I even remember when you talked about, informing your family and everything. I think that Kalelu Mama today. And then later in the week, I went public with the story on YouTube.
So good. You didn't give her time.
No, I didn't. And thank goodness I didn't, because I don't think I would have had the courage. I would still be waiting it out.
And that is why in the city, inform. You are not asking for permission. You are informed. Yeah.
Sibo, oh my word, my heart is so full.
Oh, thank you, Sissy.
My heart is so full.
I'm just glad we finally met.
And I feel like the time went by so quickly, but okay. They're giving me side eyes at the back.
Now.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Istandwa. You are such an inspiration, and honestly, this is coming from my heart. Any time there's something where I'm like, I want and this outini, I keep on going back to your story, or just simply how you carry yourself, whether it's on a stage, whether it's through social media, your one-on-one mentoring sessions. Thank you so much. You don't know, by just being you, you are paving the way for so many of us.
Thank you so much.
So don't stop. We are literally looking at you, as that light, as the guide. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me. I know that you, this is your space, this is what you do. And I know that you had 1,000,001 people to choose from. But thank you so much for giving me and my story time. Thank you so much.
What can I say? Oh, my word. My heart is so full. I am so happy right now. The conversations, things that are sometimes frowned upon, and the fact that we've created the safe space for the likes of Osibu to come through and tell their stories. I hope your heart is as full as mine. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are officially back! Guys, please catch this episode wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. This has been Don't Hold Back. This is where we say it loud. A podcast in collaboration between DW Jacaranda FM and East Coast Radio. This is Nozibele Sibaca-Nomnganga signing out.